About yeah. Okay, we're gonna start in a minute. I just want to give a disclaimer right now that Addison isn't here today, so we're gonna have to move a little bit slower because she does everything. But luckily, I have an amazing staff, so they're gonna help. But we're just gonna have to move a little bit slower today. Yeah, like motions. Just give us that, please. Okay. The Senate will now come to order. The Pledge of Allegiance will now be led by the Speaker's staff, followed by a moment of silence and reflection.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please stay standing for a moment of silence. Thank you.
The clerk will call the roll. Please correct the pronunciation of your name if it is incorrect. Baldinger. Bartlett. Benegas. Boswell. Koviak. Tumby. Doppolito. Davis. DiLorenzo. Greer. Fry. Gavin. Gay. George. Gopel. Hunter. Iftikhar. Jacobson. Keenan. Lewis. Lusry. Middleton. Modica. Moore. Makapusia. Primus. Ryan. Sams. Sanders. Santiago Cedillo. Sheridan. Zeitler. Bergen. Tapia. Talaka. Violette. Walker. Ward. Wilson. Watley. Dobbins is here. Senator Walker. Okay. For premise, perhaps. Okay. With the quorum being present, is there a motion to approve the Journal of February 4th, 2026 as found online? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now in line for general orders of the Senate, beginning with reports from Senate leadership. Speaker Pro Tempore Violette, you are recognized.
Good evening, everyone. Amazing day today. Rules met Sunday at 5:30 outside of Russell 301. We went over 6 pieces of legislation, all of which were found favorable. With that, I yield questions.
The Speaker Pro Tempore yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, happy birthday, though. Ooh, happy birthday, Daniel. We will now hear a report from the Academics Committee. Chairperson Koviak, you are recognized.
Hello, everyone. Academics met at a normal time on Monday at 6 p.m. To go over the 2 pieces of legislation that we've been referred. 177 and 179 were both found favorable. As for what we are currently working on, as I've mentioned, we've been talking about Academics Week. Just to give an overview of what is going to be happening during that. The first day is going to be on Monday, Graduation Retention Network, or Garnet Day. That's going to be something that we are handling. I'm also part of the student orgs that tie in with that. So please keep an eye out for those things. Tuesday is going to be post-undergraduate planning, so career center, professional and graduate advising. Wednesday is Broco's baby. So the academic resource fair, they have a bunch of people there. And then having animals with admin. So that has all the things we're going to do that week. If you're interested in helping with any of that, please let us know, and we will definitely be sending out stuff for volunteering for those tables as it gets closer. But I yield my time to questions.
The chairperson yields their time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Finance Committee. Chairman Spurgeon, you are recognized.
Hi guys, sorry for not having a jacket. I was told that it was too hideous to wear, so
It
uh,
it just didn't match.
it didn't match. So that's what happened there. Sorry. We met at Friday our normal time. We did not have any requests pushed forward to us at that time, so we did not review any requests. We did review the Chapter 5 edits and found them unanimously favorable. And then after we had some requests pushed forward, instead of making orgs wait an extra week, we went ahead and met last night so we could get everything that had been pushed forward approved and a bill today. So we did approve $500 and some change. I yield questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Health and Safety Committee. Are there any representatives present? Senator Baldinger.
Okay, hi everyone. We met last week at our normal time after Senate and voted on SBL 117, 178, 179, and 180. We found all three pieces unanimously favorable, and then we also discussed both Senator Sanders and Seidler's pieces of legislation that are hitting the floor this week. We're currently reaching out to the Department of Parking and Transportation to review SBL 117, 174, and we're also in the process of researching legislation about toilet seat covers, mental health counselors in dorm buildings, and Script Your Future initiative. I yield my time to questions.
The senator yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Judiciary Committee. Chairwoman Diapolito, you are recognized.
Hi guys, Judiciary met last Thursday at 3. We went over SBL 117, 183. It was found unanimously favorable with one abstention. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Liberties and Representation Committee. Chairwoman Sams, you are recognized.
Hi everyone, we met on Tuesday at 12. We went over two pieces of legislation and they were found unanimously favorable. Tomorrow we have tabling with the Anne Frank Center from 12 to 2, so please come by and write a postcard to a child refugee in exchange for a piece of candy. Yeah, we want as many people as possible to come out. And with that, I yield to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Chairwoman Loser, you are recognized.
Hi everyone, Powers met on Monday at 2:30. We have changed our meeting time to 2:30 instead of 5, so if Powers is something you're interested in and you'll be able to make the meeting times, please feel free to join. It was led by our Vice Chairman, Matthew, because I was unable to attend. We reviewed SBL 117, 179, and it was found unanimously favorable. And with that, I yield to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We'll now hear a report from the Student Life Committee. Chairman Sheridan, you are recognized.
Hey guys, Student Life met as we usually do on Mondays at 6:30. We went over SBL 179, found it favorable. Nothing really to report from this week, but hopefully next week we'll have something about parking coming through, so stay tuned for that. I yield to questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Sustainability Committee. Chairwoman Gopal, you are recognized.
Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. We did not meet this week because of a scheduling conflict that I had. We reviewed SBL 117, 179 and found it unanimously favorable, and I have nothing else to update you guys on. Yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none. We will now hear a report from the Elections Commission. Commissioner Tristan, you are recognized.
It's a little hot in here. We have our official candidates meeting tomorrow. Super exciting. I hope that y'all that have filed can come out and enjoy an incredible meeting. Other than that, we put together the elections complaint hearings rules and procedures where we sent that in for approval. But other than that, that's all I have. I yield my time to questions.
The commissioner yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Spurgeon.
When more, or oh, I guess when it, before elections, by,
They're there.
yeah, they're there. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Yes.
Sorry, I was like
Haven't-
checking because I was like,
Yes. I was gonna say by the meeting tomorrow, everything will be there, so.
it's in like the, if you go like general and then student government 2025 to 2026. I just deleted it and re-uploaded it to make sure everybody can see it. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the freshman council. Are there any representatives present? Y'all are recognized.
Hi everyone, I'm Layla. I'm Zaya. Okay, so Student Life right now is finalizing where they're putting boxes for their canned food drive, and they're about to start their kickoff. And sustainability is pivoting from not getting their materials for the Valentine's Day event in time, and now we're planning a tabling in March, talking about recycling on campus and handing out goodies like possibly Celsius. They're also partnering with Student Life for their canned food drive, and Health and Safety had their Love, Safe, and Protected tabling event this past Monday from 11 to 2 p.m. They gave out several Valentine's Day goodie bags, and thank you to anyone who stopped by. All extra bags were given to RAs to give to students on their hall to continue to spread our message. They will be having their final event, Midterm Madness Energizer, on March 3rd. They will be giving out Celsius and Duck Donuts on Green Street from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. They will also have a sticky note board for students to take and leave encouraging messages during the tabling as well.
Academics is finalizing their plans for their academic resource fair. It's going to be happening March 4th in the Russell House Ballroom from 10 to 1. And they're still in need of faculty and recommendations from senators. And Libs and Rips we're planning our tabling event for March 17th. It's called Beyond the Ballot. And we'll be teaching students about how to sign up for their free news subscriptions and figure out who their representatives are, along with why voting is important. We're also going to be getting nothing but cakes and have a lot of swag to give out. And with that, we give our time to questions.
The representatives yield their time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Constitutional Council. Are there any representatives present? Seeing none. We'll now hear a report from the Speaker of the Student Senate. I'm recognizing myself. Hey y'all, I don't really have that much to go over. Just a reminder that like anything elections is not to be talked about like during Senate, during committee meetings in the LSC. Please don't do that. That kind of impedes on the running of this Senate session. I do want to circle back. Our Senate session, our last one's going to be a week earlier than what I said last week. It's going to be March 4th. So that's like 2 weeks before inauguration. It's the Wednesday before spring break. We are still going to have that special session on Monday, March 2nd for the state of the student body, but then the last Senate session of the year is on Wednesday, March 4th. Just so everybody knows. So it's 2 weeks earlier than what it was before. Other than that, I don't have much else, just working on making sure everything's updated in the OneDrive, finishing my transition manual. As always, if you have questions about what it means to be the speaker, please let me know. If you know anybody that's interested in joining Student Senate, please let me know. Also, I think most people have seen it on the calendar, but there are articles of impeachment that were filed. Since our Chief Justice is abroad, he deferred that to the chairwoman of the Judiciary Committee. That process is outlined in the codes. So if you're in Judiciary, you'll get an email about next steps. But other than that, I yield my time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. You're now in line for a report from the Student Body Treasurer. Are there any representatives present? Seeing none. We are now in line for a report from the Student Body Vice President. Vice President Jordan Richardson, you are recognized.
Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. I don't have a lot to report on, but we are in the middle of Carolina Facility Week. We had a nothing but cakes tabling thing today, and we were talking about what it means, asking students what Carolina Facility means to them. It was very good. Today we turn out. Tomorrow we have civics Civic Careers in Celsius will be on Green Street from 12 to 2. And then next Wednesday, we're doing Pizza with Politics on Green Street from 12 to 2 as well. Y'all may have seen in the group chat, I sent a the photos of they are having shipping issues, so they're coming. They're all being fixed, but yeah. Other than that, make sure everybody's registered for Games Marathon because it is coming up soon. And I want to remind y'all that, but SC Exchange that we're hosting is February 21st. So that's it. So just remember, if you sign up to volunteer or help at all, just contribute. I think that's all I have. I think, yeah, I'll give you my time to
The Vice President yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none. Thank you. We will now hear a report from the Student Body President. President Courtney Tax, you are recognized.
Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. I know Jordan was just talking about it. SC Exchange will be next week. We actually have more schools coming this time than we had originally had, I think because of the snow. So I'm very, very excited about that. Representative Nathan Ballantyne is going to come speak. He is the chairman of the Ways and Means Higher Education Subcommittee. So he knows a lot about higher education and a lot about funding higher education. So we're excited to have his expertise. I'm going to be able to have kind of an open dialogue with him. I've been doing a lot of work about Russell House. Today I pulled the data of the walkability from each residential hall and each academic unit as well. So I have the average distance and walking time for every single building pretty much on campus, if anybody ever needs that. Happy to pull that for you. I am going to be sending out a few forms. The first is regarding Russell House. It's going to be a question that I really want open and honest answers for. Would you rather, or what would you rather do? Walkability to, or walk further for a new building, or have the convenience of walking to a closer building? Again, really don't have any preference. I just want to have your opinion on that. And then I'm also sending out a form for the Vice Provost regarding certificates. So if you are completing a certificate, they love to highlight you. So please include that as well. And I have my Board of Trustees meeting next week. So I'll be talking a lot about Russell House, as well as getting feedback from them. So if anybody has anything that they would like to add, please let me know. I have a full folder of all the information that I've been taking over the last year. And last but not least, I am going to say the C word, but campaigns are coming up. Oh, everyone's head popped up. Campaigns are coming up, so I just want to remind everyone to be kind, to be nice. If you are running again, you'll hear me say it on Thursday, but just a reminder that everybody that you're running against is potentially one of your constituents in the future. So treat them as you would treat any other constituent. So please be kind to them, be nice. Campaigns should not ruin friendships. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The President yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none. Thank you. We are now in line for special orders of the Senate. Are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Elections Commission regarding the approval of Elections Commission complaints and hearing rules of procedure.
Chairwoman Diapolito. There's been a motion for a 3-minute recess to allow the senators to read the rules of procedure. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. We're now in a recess. So 5:52. that will now come to order. So the question is of the approval of the rules of procedure. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? We'll move to a roll call vote. Okay, there's been a motion to move to a period of debate on the Elections Commission complaints and hearings rules of procedure. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. We will now move to a period of debate on this matter. Does any senator wish to speak? Senator Spurgeon? Yeah. Senator Lewis? Yeah. I'm like trying to do that right now. Yeah.
Just right off the bat, this document has multiple different fonts, different sizes, different formats of bulleting. I see letters, numbers, dots, circles. It's honestly embarrassing that people are going to have to look at this when campaigns go live in 24 hours. There's no standard or any, it just says they can penalize somebody, and Constitutional Council doesn't have any way to remedy if someone's penalized in the middle of an election. So if someone is decided,
Tommy, I'm gonna correct that.
Okay.
This entire document is secondary to the Student Government Code, so everything in Chapter 4 trumps what is written in this documentation. The appeals process is outlined in the last section of Chapter 4.
Okay, I'm concerned that it says that the Elections Commission shall deliberate on the outcome and choose from the following options: a written warning, an order requiring corrective action, including the removal or modification and disqualification of a candidate. So even though someone can still go through the appeals process, that doesn't give them back that time that they lost campaigning because they suffered one of these penalties. So they get, like, just because it can be fixed and they're allowed to run again doesn't mean that they've been remedied for whatever harm they've been caused by an arbitrary decision. Are there any questions?
The senator yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Jacobson?
I believe that a system and a document that's vulnerable to somebody without any remedy being able to make an unfair decision or being a punishment should not be approved.
Also, I just want to provide a point of, just a correction that if a senator, or not a senator, a candidate was to receive a decision and appeal it, then everything gets stalled in elections until the appeal process is complete. Any other questions? Senator Jacobson?
I think that this document should include some sort of standards for different punishments for different outcomes, or some way to come about that other than they just get to choose on whatever they want to between a warning all the way to disqualifying somebody.
I also just want to provide a clarification that that language comes directly from Chapter 4 of the codes that states the 3 options. That was approved by Senate. Senator Violette?
Sure, yes. I don't, however the Elections Commission would like to go about this, that's more than just we will do whatever we want to any candidate.
Any other questions? Senator Sheridan? I'm going to read directly from the codes. A candidate may appeal any decision of the Elections Commission to the Constitutional Council within 1 university day of the Elections Commission's decision. And then if the Constitutional Council provides a decision, a candidate may appeal any decision of the Constitutional Council within 1 university day of the Constitutional Council's decision. Chairwoman Diapolito.
I don't think Chapter 4 outlines, maybe I'm wrong, outlines what punishment would be assigned to different violations. So it seriously could be two people do the exact same thing and two people get entirely, not assuming that would happen, it just can happen by this. And then everyone would have to go, and then it's just a document that whatever mistakes happen here, CC is gonna have to get fixed. And if someone is told that an outcome can be chosen from the following options, why would they not appeal to CC? How would they ever, like, that's not a justification for why they got whatever they got, even though they'll be given a written one. That's not, you can say this because this for whatever you want. That doesn't mean it's fair.
Any other questions? Senator Seitler? Yeah. So I can answer that with the codes revision committee that helped guide some of the new changes, for example, in chapter 4. Rules of procedure are going to happen for every single branch and like structure in our organization. Like there's already rules of procedure for the Constitutional Council, there's already rules of procedure for Senate. We didn't have them for the other ones. The suggestion was to take things out of the codes and put them in a set of rules of procedure that needs to be appointed by Senate. Basically just detailing it. So if you look at chapter 4, it goes over how EC has original jurisdiction to decide penalties, that they hear things originally, they can send things to Constitutional Council at any time, you can appeal it to Constitutional Council, et cetera, et cetera. The point of the rules of procedure is to go through the actual step-by-step. Okay, you said Elections Commission has original jurisdiction, what does that mean? How are they going to hear these complaints? What's going to happen afterwards? Any other questions? And like you'll see probably, not this term, but next term, probably every single branch will have a similar rules of procedure. Any other questions? Senator Lewis.
I think at the bare minimum, this document should be formatted in a professional, standardized manner before we approve it. That's the least of the problems, though.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Senator Spurgeon. We are still in the period of debate. Does any other senator wish to speak on this matter? Is there a motion for a brief recess? I want to check something with Robert's rules very quickly. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Is there a motion to grant the Elections Commissioner permission to speak? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Now you can come up.
What are the questions?
Senator Lewis. I'm gonna ask, that question was asked and answered, Senator Lewis. It says in the codes they would be redacted per university policy, which is the student conduct policy. Senator Lewis.
It's more of like an instructional layout of like what to expect if this were to happen. We are really just trying to follow the codes when it comes to the procedure, but we want to make sure that we have a clear communication on what the next steps are if that were to happen.
Also, it's a requirement of the code
Yeah.
that they have to get passed.
Ditto.
Speaker Pro Tempore Violette.
Yeah, so the codes specifically state what punishments we can do. So we're still going to reference those when it comes to laying down punishments. I know it is up to our discretion on what we would rule. And then for the second part, it took me a couple hours to do it. I even sat down with a couple of our SG staff over here and kind of worked through it with them. And we actually worked on it a little bit yesterday too. So we definitely did put some thorough work into this, and I promise we are trying our best to do a good job as Elections Commission.
Senator Sams. Yeah. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Keenan as Senator Sams' proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Sams. Granted. Any other questions? Senator Spurgeon.
Well, the punishment, it lays on, like I said before, they're clearly stated in the codes, like what the punishments can be. When it comes to that, we're just gonna take it on a case basis. Yeah, so that's, obviously, everything we do is guided by the codes. But that's kind of my answer for you there is it's up to the Elections Commission to decide on that.
Senator Jacobson. Any other questions? Senator Spurgeon.
Well, we follow the codes. So we're going to reference that. In terms of this, I know there's been some changes in the way this proceeding is taken, and that the Elections Commission now has more control over how that is being. But we're really just going to kind of take it into our judgment and base it off of those different options that can be used. So.
Chairwoman Diapolito. Any other questions? Senator Jacobson. Senator Lewis.
It's Senator DiPolito said, it's kind of up to the Elections Commission for that.
I also just want to restate again that any senator, or I keep saying senator, I'm sorry, because I'm so used to talking to y'all. Any candidate who receives a decision from Elections Commission and feels as though they were not treated in good faith or their rights were violated can appeal it to Constitutional Council. Also, there is past precedent on a lot of these elections violations as they have occurred multiple times over the past 117 years that we've been doing student government elections. Any other questions? Senator Spurgeon.
In terms of the codes and what it says within there for the procedures, it doesn't state that it's necessary, so we didn't feel as such.
Senator Lewis.
It's the Elections Commission. Oh, and yeah.
A student government advisor,
Yep.
a staff member, a full-time staff member, not a student. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Commissioner.
All right, thank you.
Is there a motion to end the period of debate and move to the question at hand? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. The question is of the approval of the Elections Commission complaints and hearings rules of procedure. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The rules of procedure are approved. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
Communication from the Office of the Speaker of the Student Senate regarding impeachment articles against Senator Epstein.
Received. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Office of the Speaker of the Student Senate regarding vacant seat applicants, Jamaliah Ward.
The nominee is referred to the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Office of the Speaker of the Student Senate regarding Rempel Committee nominations, Ainsley Martin and Lena Lauser.
This is outlined in the codes as two people that I appoint, and then the other person who serves on this committee is our wonderful chairperson of academics. The question is of the approval of the nominations. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The nominees are confirmed. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read? Seeing no more special motions, we are now in the motion period. Are there any motions on the floor at this time? Senator Violette. There's been a motion to suspend the rules to allow the newly confirmed senator to take her oath of office. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Tyler's actually here now. Daniel, Tyler's here. Yeah. Michaela? Yep, you can just come on up. Student senator. Yes. And Michaela, now you come sit. Who would like to be Michaela's buddy today? You can go sit with Matthew Fry. Sorry, he's the first one who raised his hand. Or in between Matt Fry and Brooke. Then you get two buddies. Also, I just really quickly want to circle back before we unsuspend the rules. If people don't like the fonts or formats of things, we can always just change that. Like if the content is still the same after y'all approved it, we can make it whatever font or format. Is there a motion to unsuspend the rules? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are still in the motion period at this time. Are there any other motions on the floor? Chairwoman Diapolito. Does the sponsor find this amendment friendly or unfriendly? Seeing as the sponsors found this amendment friendly, the amendment is now adopted. Chairwoman Diapolito. Does the sponsor find this amendment friendly or unfriendly? Seeing as the sponsors have found this amendment friendly, the amendment is now adopted. Speaker Pro Tempore Violette. There's been a motion to add Speaker Pro Tempore Violette to the Judiciary Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Baldinger. There's been a motion to carry over SBL 117-178. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. The bill is carried over for a period of 1 week. Senator Wakapusia. There's been a motion to add a recommendation to the first reading calendar. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. The piece is added to the first reading calendar and granted the legislative number of 188. We are still in the motion period. Are there any other motions on the floor at this time? Senator Seitler. There's been a motion to remove Senator Seitler from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Baldinger. There's been a motion to add Senator Moore to the Health and Safety Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Spurgeon. There's been a motion to add a recommendation to the first reading calendar. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Any other motions on the floor at this time? Senator Seitler. There's been a motion to add Senator Seitler to the Academics Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Any other motions on the floor at this time? Seeing no further motions, is there a motion to adjourn from this motion period? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now on the call of the introduction of new legislation. The clerk will now read. My OneDrive isn't working. The amended 182 and 183 are in the Senate, general big folder. You guys should be able to see it. Outside of 117th Senate. The one where you can see, the 97th through. The clerk will now read.
SBL 117-182, sponsored by Chairperson Doppolito, a bill to organize and simplify Chapter 3 of the Student Government Code.
The chairperson is recognized.
Hey guys, nothing too substantial here. This is the code's revision for chapter 3. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Finance, Judiciary, and Student Life Committees. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-183, sponsored by Chairperson Doppolito, a bill to organize and simplify Chapter 6 of the Student Government Code.
The chairperson is recognized.
Hey guys, again, this one is a little bit more substantial. Summons is now taken out. However, it's important to note that Chapter 3 still has their finance summons that's separate from this. And then also a section is now in for due process, so that every member of student government has due process. Yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this legislation is referred to all committees. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-184, sponsored by Senator Sanders, a recommendation to add active shooter protocols to mandatory talking modules for incoming freshmen and transfer students.
Senator Sanders, you are recognized.
Okay, so I'm sure you'll all remember the required modules we had to do before coming to the university.
I honestly don't really know why, like active shooter protocols aren't normalized, or like training for that across public universities, especially considering the amount of, I mean, when you think about it, literally anyone can walk onto public campuses, and we would be literally the first people in the SEC to add active shooter protocols to mandatory talking modules for like freshmen and transfer students. I think it's just like, obviously, without mentioning what happened, this is just a really important thing to have for a public university. Like, for example, in all of the jobs I've done, I've had to do active shooter protocols, and I think that it's just interesting when you look at how you don't have to do it for a public university, but you do have to do it for most jobs you work. So, yeah, it goes more into detail in the legislation about statistics, but this is what I'm really passionate about, and if you have any questions, let me know. I'm very well educated about this. But yeah, I yield my time for questions.
The senator yields your time for questions. Are there any questions? Senator Fry.
Oh yeah, well, sorry. No, like, just waiting on contract.
Oh, yeah.
It shouldn't be too hard considering, like, there are so many programs, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like we'd have to completely film our own active shooter protocol thing.
That's on me. I was in Rock Hill on Saturday, Monday, and Sunday. So, any other questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Health and Safety and Academics Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read SBO 117-185, sponsored by Senator Tim George and Gavin Primus, the recommendation to establish a student-run EMS service on campus. Are any senators willing to speak on this legislation? They both have rushed for their health. Okay. Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Health and Safety Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read SBO 117-186, sponsored by Senator Seitler, a recommendation to improve accessibility and information transparency on the centralized student organization platform. Senator Seitler, you're recognized.
Hello, everyone. So basically, this piece has two purposes. The first one is to just help provide guidelines to the committee that's currently overseeing, like, getting the new Garnet Gate to ensure that it's easy to use, navigate, and it's transparent for both students using it and the clubs that are utilizing it. And then the second half would be to mandate clubs to require specific information. So just like have one specific area where students can go to find information about clubs. Because I was talking with a lot of students and they said that it's very hard to find information about clubs. So basically it'll just require specific information like what the club is, link to their social media and any other things, application forms, meeting times, stuff like that. I yield my time to questions.
The senator yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Lewis.
So if you currently look at the current state of Garnet Gate, a lot of organizations, like information is outdated. So when students go to get information about that clubs, they can't really find anything. And not all clubs have social media pages either, so they're just in the dark. And that leaves organization fairs, which aren't that often and not everyone can attend. Like I've never been able to attend one of the work fairs here because I always have something to do.
Any other questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Student Life Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read SBO 117-187, sponsored by Senator Jamie Ryan and Nicole DiLorenzo, a recommendation to school-sponsored subleasing forum remodel. The senators are recognized.
So the legislation that Nikki and I wrote is called School-Sponsored Subleasing Forum Remodel. So we noticed that there's so many students that study abroad at this school, and it's often difficult to find affordable subleasing options for just one semester when they're here in Columbia. There are some resources available, such as Garnet Living and an off-campus messaging board. However, they're confusing, disorganized, and not one of them isn't sponsored by the school. We researched some other universities that have different options, such as secure messaging boards promoted by the school. for study abroad and exchange students. Our school, you can also go on Facebook pages, but again, they can cause safety concerns and create difficulties and lack credibility.
Yeah, so we're basically just asking for school sponsors to organize a user-friendly website so study abroad students can access stuff.
The senators yield their time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Lewis.
So some universities that we noticed were University of Illinois and Syracuse. They have secure online messaging boards promoted by the school for their study abroad students. It's good because it's sponsored by the school, so you know only students are using it, and you can only get in like with your student access, and they're more easily accessible. We just think that the options currently are very difficult to use and can create safety concerns.
Any other questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Student Life Committee. And good job to our past three senators. That was all of their first pieces. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBO 117-188, a recommendation to improve access to professional certification resources and exam support for students in the Molinari College of Engineering and Computing.
Senator Walker, please say you're recognized.
Hi guys. This piece here also has serves two purposes. One is just a better way to streamline this on the MyCEC website. I talked to my professor about this and other students in my capstone course. Basically, there's a software it's called Omnisa Horizon. Basically, it's like a virtual lab, allows you to log into the computers from home, like the computer lab from home. So that way you can get like EduRoam and get the same domain and whatever and whatnot. But basically, that's like one of the main resources. Essentially, this is going to help students. It'll be a main menu where students will be able to look for different virtual labs, and it'll also help them study for different certifications. There's plenty of certifications that students will need to be able to get, especially when trying to get into the professional realm and industry recognized certifications within the academic university. So I think it's very useful, especially sponsored by the school. That way students can get have a better resume and get on the I get this
Questions?
Yes, questions.
The senator yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Academics Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBO 117-189, sponsored by the Finance Committee, the recommendation to permit the Finance Committee to allocate funds.
Senator Spurgeon, you are recognized.
It's just the weekly finance bill. We have to $517. Any other questions?
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Galvin. There's been a motion to pass SBL 117-189 by unanimous consent. Been an objection. Is there a motion to table SBL 117-189 indefinitely? Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The piece is tabled indefinitely. Chairwoman Diapolito. 189. There's been a motion to table SBL 117-189 and move it to the second reading contested calendar. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The piece is untabled and added to the second reading contested calendar. Senator Lewis. The legislation. It's in the pending folder, perhaps. It's either an introduced or pending. Pending would be anything that's introduced off the first reading calendar. Yes, so it's in there. I can move it into the introduced legislation folder. Correct. It's in the introduce folder now. Thank you, Senator Spurgeon. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now on the call of the uncontested legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 117-177, sponsored by Senator Walker, a recommendation to enhance accessibility and testing equity through universal classroom time display.
Senator Walker, you are recognized.
Okay, so there's really not much to add about this, but it's already been approved by you guys for our legislation. I just buffed it up a lot. So it's really good for people with ADHD, anxiety disorders, that kind of things to have wall clocks. As for the funding, I've already talked to facilities. We got that on the way. If there's still concerns you guys have about that and implementation, me and Justin Shinta will be set up a meeting with you, and our students will be happy to do that. So, yeah, I yield my time to questions.
The senator yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote on this legislation. All those in favor of passage say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. This legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-179, sponsored by Chairperson Dot Polito, a bill to organize and simplify Chapter 5 of the Student Government Code.
Chairwoman Diapolito, you are recognized.
These are the Chapter 5 code revisions. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote on this legislation. All those in favor of passage say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. This legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-180, sponsored by Senator Walker, Senator Fry, a recommendation to modernize campus parking through the expansion of the Park USC app with a real-time availability system.
The senators are recognized.
Okay, so this is basically, I said it last time, but it's basically the expansion of the Park USC app to go to all major garages. I think that's like a really big help. Having it to limit it to one garage is really, like, it helps, but students use other garages also, so I think that's just a big thing. There's really not much to add from last time. And I yield my time to questions.
The senator yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote on this legislation. All those in favor of passage say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. This legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation. Sorry. Yeah, clap. The clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now on the call of the contested legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 117-189, sponsored by the Finance Committee, a recommendation to permit the Finance Committee to allocate funds.
Chairman Spurgeon, you are recognized.
This is the weekly finance bill. We approved $517. I yield the question.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions for the chairman? Seeing none. Thank you. We will now move to a period of debate on this matter. Does any senator wish to speak? Thank you, Senator Spurgeon. Senator Lewis. I just recognized you to speak. You raised your placard. Yes, you can come up.
Yeah, let me just basically just say this real quick. I took a look at the documents about, about $500 on there. But, the reason, I made a rejection to this, it's not, just because of the bad document or anything. It's simply for the matter is that, we need time to read over these, and I need time to understand this and process this. We had a couple of senators in the back, couldn't get the documents pulled up. So I think, I think we need to be cautious, just freewheeling, just putting documents out there and just slow it down, and let's just do what's best for the students. With that, I'm going to yield the well.
Senator Jacobson. Heard but not recognized. We're only doing roll call vote in the contested calendar. Senator Gopel.
I just want to debate that a little bit, that these student orgs are having these events as soon as they can, which they need the money for. So if we sit there and dilly-dally and not look at the legislation, as a senator, you're supposed to be looking at the legislation before you come to Senate. So if you're not looking at the legislation, then it takes these student orgs longer to get their money, which then their events are then postponed. I yield to the bill.
I'm going to provide a point of information that the pending folder in the legislation folder will always contain any piece of legislation that's going to be introduced off the first reading calendar. That does need to be submitted to my office 24 hours in advance to be eligible. Senator Violette.
As I understand it, there was a bit of a time crunch with this. However, these are very time-sensitive allocations that I think we should vote on. Please, please. With that, I yield to the well.
Do any other senators wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we will now move to a roll call vote on this.
Miss Ryan, Sam, Sanders, Santiago Cedillo, Sheridan, Seitler, Bergen, Tapia, Palaka, Hewlett, Walker, Ward, Wilson, Watley, Torres.
Senator Fry. While senators voting present answered the call. Senator Keenan. You've already cast your vote. Yeah. Senator Jacobson. If that's what we've done in the past, then Senator Keenan, do you want to change? Can we please take one eye away and make it an abstention? Senator Ward. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Fry as Senator Ward's proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Ward. Granted. By a vote of 40 ayes, 0 nays, and 1 abstention, this piece has passed. Continuing on with the call of the contested legislation, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now in line for a period of open discussion. Does any senator wish to bring a matter of attention to the body? Hearing none, we are now in line for a period of announcements. Are there any announcements from the floor? Senator Hunter.
But I've got some exciting news. Me and Abby are part of Dance Marathon, and that's coming up very, very soon. I know we had our vice president come up here to talk about joining it. If you can't do that, then we please just ask that y'all pop out. I will be dancing for 14 hours straight. I don't know how I signed up for this. I don't know how I got put on this list, but I'm happy to be here. So this is on February 21st. We start at 8 a.m. and we'll go all the way to 11 p.m. So no excuse to pop out is what it is. So yeah, I yield to the well.
Great. Any other announcements? Senator Keenan.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to quickly promote the organization I'm part of across different medical universities. It's called Script Your Future, where we're advocating for better medication adherence across all populations. We have a TikTok and an Instagram at Student Med Adherence, and if you have any questions, you can message me about it. I yield to the well.
Any other announcements? Hearing none, I just have a super quick one. Just a reminder, I think Senator Gopal said this earlier, like everything we go over during Senate is in the drive before, like every single Tuesday night I am making sure that it's all in the drive. So if for whatever reason you're looking before Senate and you don't see it, please let me know so I can point you in the right direction, but it will always be in there. I know that there's a lot of folders. If people have feedback about that, please let me know because I'd love to reorganize it in a way that's most conducive for everybody else. But I do upload everything in advance to allow y'all the opportunity to adequately prepare to vote on these pieces in an efficient manner for the Senate. I yield to questions. Seeing no further questions, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Without objection, the Senate will now stand adjourned until Wednesday, February 18th, 2026.